Hello and welcome back. Now that we have our EC2 instance created and we've been able to successfully log into it, I just want to take a second to review the networking side of EC2 again, because now that we have one provisioned, we can actually look and make a one-to-one connection between the diagram and what's going on over here in the console. So what you can see is we have our EC2 instance here, and that is represented by this EC2 instance here. It has a public IP address, which is the public IP address right here. It is associated with a security group. We can see the security group right here, and we can view the inbound rules where it's allowing inbound port 80 and port 22. It is also in subnet 1 or a public subnet, which you can see right here. It is also protected by a network access control list, which we can't see here, but if I open up in a new tab here and go to the VPC section, go to subnets, and we know that it's currently a lab subnet 1-public due to the subnet ID, which is 547C. We see here 547C. And then if we click on that, we know that the network access control list for that has these following rules, and it is the lab network access control list 1. So we can then see the rules for the network access control list. We know that this subnet is associated with the route table with the internet gateway attached. So again, under the particular subnet, we can click on route tables and we see that it does have an internet gateway attached. So that does provide a line out to the internet. And so what we actually want to do here is go back to our EC2 instance. And if you remember the bootstrapping that we did, the user data that we put in to update the Yum installer and then also to install the Apache web server. So now, one of the things that I mentioned during that video when I talked about user data is that the Apache web server is going to give a test page to access using the public IP address. So if I actually grab this public IP address right now, let me copy that. I'm going to open up a new tab in my browser. And if you look right here, it pops up Amazon Linux AMI test page. So what I'm actually accessing now through HTTP is a web page that has been installed on our EC2 instance. So basically, what I'm assuming right now is I am this customer right now, and using the HTTP protocol, I am sending a request for this IP address, for the public IP address of this EC2 instance, and it's coming across the open internet. It is coming through the internet gateway. It is then going to the route table. The route table is saying, hey, this is the IP address you're looking for. It's at this EC2 instance over here. That request is then passing through the network access control list. So it's passing through this network access control list here, so it has to have the proper permissions. It is then entering the subnet, so then it is going into this subnet because it passed through the network access control list guarding the subnet. It then hits the security group over here, this security group here that is guarding the EC2 instance, and then into the EC2 instance itself. The EC2 instance then processes the request, and the request says, hey, serve up this Apache test page. So it then sends that information back out through the security group, out of the subnet, through the network access control list, back to the route table. Route table sends the internet gateway. Internet gateway sends it out over the open internet, back to my computer, where I view this right here. So again, I just wanted to walk through a quick summary of how traffic over the open internet using HTTP comes in and out of the VPC and into an EC2 instance. Now let's switch back over actually to the terminal and look at it from that perspective. So I'm going to switch over to the physical and networking layer here, into our VPC, and I'm still logged into the EC2 instance here. So instead of accessing the EC2 instance over HTTP and viewing the test page through the web browser, now what I'm doing here is I'm actually assuming this over here. I'm being an AWS user and I'm accessing it via SSH. So when I'm using it from the terminal here, we can follow the purple line. So this is still coming in. It's using the SSH protocol this time over the open internet, through the internet gateway, again to the route table. And the route table, when I pass through the command using this right here, this public IP address, it's saying, okay, it's pointing to the public IP address of the EC2 instance. So the route table is sending me this way. And I'm going again through the network access control list, into the subnet, through the security group, which has SSH protocol open as an allow rule, and then into the EC2 instance, and that's what I'm looking at here when I'm logged in at this command prompt. So if I run any command right now here, I'm running it on this EC2 instance. So that's just a quick summary that I wanted to show all of you of how the networking works and what it looks like accessing an EC2 instance, both through a web browser and how that data flows, and then also as a back-end user accessing it through SSH and what that looks like as well. So I hope that gives you a really good understanding of all the different layers that data has to go through to both enter and exit a VPC and access an EC2 instance. And with that, we will conclude this lesson. Thank you for watching. You may now move on.